I am super excited to have this conversation this morning. We're talking about the CPO and CEO relationship, and I feel like I've learned so much from you in the 2 months, almost 3 months that we've been together. And then prior to this, working with Jack Altman, who was founder and CEO at Lattice. But I'm particularly proud to be sitting next to you, Sarah. And I didn't tell you I was going to say these things, but I am. So sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
On the spot. It's great.
Yeah, there you go. Sarah is one of the most successful tech executives out there, and definitely one of the most successful female tech executives. And in a month when we are celebrating women, and we just had International Women's Day, I am exceedingly proud to sit next to an example of what strong female leadership can look like. And if you don't know about Sarah, her most recent role was Chief Marketing Officer at Salesforce. She capped off 15 years during hypergrowth mode. And prior to that, you were GM of Trailhead, which is a learning platform within Salesforce. So all of us know that, and there may be some trailblazers here as well. So first of all, thank you. Thank you for being a trailblazer yourself and for investing in the people space. And also thank you for coming to an HR technology company at a time when people leaders are able to really shine. And Sarah's move to CEO of Lattice is a proof point for Silicon Valley that we are here to stay, that the tools for people leaders are critically important for business and not just for us functionally, and that what we're doing matters and is important now and into the future. So I think that's really important. And this is for somebody who Mark Benioff, current leader of Salesforce, and Brett Taylor, chair of OpenAI, have on speed dial and text. I can speak to that because my meetings have been interrupted. So it's really nice to be in this conversation just more broadly and in the conversation with you today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. And just, I want to put a exclamation point on what you said on how important and strategic people leaders are in the organization. I am proud to be a female CEO in the tech space, and we need more females in leadership. I love that this space is 76% women. But coming into this space, I've been blown away in being a CEO, working with a CPO, and how important that relationship is in guiding. Yes, I am new to Lattice, but not new to leadership. And whether I'm here or whether I was in my prior role, working with my business partner was key to everything that I did. And so the CEO-CPO relationship is so important, and your role, more than ever. I mean, like, maybe you didn't know I was gonna say this, but the last few years has been pretty incredible to watch a CEO say, oh, go, hire all these people. And the CPO is saying, hey, well, let's maybe hold up, have a plan. We need to make sure we don't have half of our company is new, then who's gonna train these other new people which are coming in? And like, we don't care, just go. And then it was like, whoa, hold up. Go lay them off and fire some people and get rid of all those people. And you're like, oh, okay. Stop what I was doing and then go run the other way and start making all those plans and say, maybe, and then you say, maybe we should be thoughtful about how we're doing this. This might impact our culture. What's this gonna mean for all of our people? And then we go through all of that. And now we're at a time where CEOs are saying, everything that you said has come true. I wish I would have listened to you more. And right now, can we just sit down together and let's make a strategic plan for what we need to do for our company, to build the right culture, to build performance, high performance, and to build the right workforce plan, distributed, hybrid, whatever it is. And so I just think this is more important than ever, the role of that relationship.
Am I hearing from you that... am I hearing from you that maybe the conversations that we're not hearing on the HR side are about maybe they were right, maybe they did know what they're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, you've been in this people business forever. And we're also starting to see interesting data. I don't have the stats perfectly, but around pay, around percentage of being in the C-suite, at the table, on boards. I had a great conversation with the head of the New York Stock Exchange, another female, which I do love. And it was very interesting to hear that in this age of AI and a bunch of fancy new technology, they would have thought that the requests for board members to be surging for people with AI expertise. But turns out right now, the requests are for people that have people leadership, CPOs, because it's realized now how important it is to do good workforce planning, to really engage your team, to deliver all of the training, all of the enablement, all of the manager tools, everything that they need to be great employees. And yes, you were right,
Yay! I think the other thing that when I'm looking back over the last 10 years, I'm seeing a lot of amazing founders that have gotten into the space, the Jack Altmans of the world that saw this future state of where we are. And I'm thinking now, I remember founded People Tech Partners, a cohort of people leaders that were committed to having better tools, Lattice being one of those better tools, part of People Tech. We were like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could not be in spreadsheets and then be able to do the hard, the strategic work and the fun stuff and the important things and the reason we got here. I feel like we now are at that place. We're able to look around and we do have options and we do have tools. And what's even more exciting for me is we have an entire ecosystem of builders who are partnering with people in the CPO seat, partnering with people in the people ops seat. These are really important changes, I just think, for the economy globally. I think, and what we know now is AI is now an overlay there. And what's interesting to me is my CPO partners, the folks that are in my network, are the people who are at the leading edge of AI because it is that mix of workforce, employee experience, and tooling. And many of us have been doing the work of building entire tech stacks within your companies for the past 10 years because we haven't had a consolidated solution that can solve all the problems, right? We've built expertise in this area, so we are ready for the next stage. I'm interested to hear from you, Sarah. What do you see as that next? You again, 15 years at Salesforce, you spent a lot of time looking forward there. What are you looking forward to in the next 3 to 5 years in our world?
There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to, and I want to respond to a few parts of the question, because coming into this space, it's something which I love how much the technology has a mission, which is helping people be successful. A lot of technology is there to make supply chains more efficient, to make your finances work well, to make your manufacturing run effectively, to give visibility into your purchasing. It's all great and helps our world operate incredibly. I mean, trust me, I love that I can place an Amazon Fresh order and my groceries are there in a few days. I mean,
Yes.
not days,
Yes.
a few hours.
Yes, yes.
I love that. And my mother was a teacher of 30 plus years, and when I got into the tech space, I was like, okay, she is the person that I go to the grocery store and I can't get out of there for an hour and a half because everybody comes up and is like, oh, Miss Sally, can we talk? You changed my life, this and that. And I was like, oh, I make, software that helps people automate their business processes, what am I going to be saying when I'm 80 years old and wondering what my impact was? And so what I love is that in the HR tech space, it's a unique blend, and as people leaders, something that actually made me sad coming into this space. They're like, yeah, all of our tools kind of suck. And I was like, that is terrible. Like, oh my God, that is so bad. Why do you not have great tools? And so over the last decade or so, it is awesome that you're seeing new tools come into play to help you be successful at helping all of your employees and teams succeed. So one, there's an incredible mission there. Two, the tools are getting better. And three, where we're going. See, I was gonna get there.
Love that.
I was gonna get there. AI has taken us by storm. It is incredible technology. And what's that Spider-Man quote? With great power comes great responsibility. And that sits on all of your shoulders as the ones that are creating the policies and deciding how it's going to be used. And as our job as a technology creator for this space, AI is transformative. I'm sure there's going to be many talks about it. I believe Josh is going to have a whole thing on it, going to educate us and illuminate us on everything there. And at Lattice, we've been putting AI into the platform. And what I love about it is that it's not only here to make the tools better, but it's also going to, going back to the mission, help us remove biases, help us process all the information that is just not humanly possible to process and keep bias out of the system. So I see, and I see a lot with this merging of all of the pieces between your pipeline that comes in, your onboarding, your enablement, your talent development, your engagement, your skilling, your promotion process, your calibrations, your compensations, to the offboarding, to your alumni programs, all of that blending together into this deep knowledge of who people are, what their dreams are, and how you can help them achieve it. And I mean, the world is just gonna be so amazing when you can talk to your career assistant. And when you can, as a manager, have everything you need to plan your workforce and engage with your teams. So I think the world is gonna be very bright. And I just love that this group of people can bring a mission to technology that is going to help everybody in the professional world be better.
When you're thinking about the role that CPOs, heads of people operations, folks that are running programs within their own companies can really feel empowered in having this level of agency that you're talking about, what are some of the things that the HR folks that you've worked with over the years, or when you've talked to other executives and they've said, hey, my people team is doing X, what are some of the things that they've done to get to a little bit of brass tacks that people can kind of take away that you've found particularly effective? Because a lot of the work that we have done and that the folks that I'm a fangirl of in the HR space have done to pave the way for me, I believe in the last decade, have been around really building our chops in around people analytics, being able to have that seat at the table. We're in the seat, and now we're moving sort of, I think, next to the CEO, maybe a little bit around the corner of the table. What are some of the things that you have seen really good HR people do that have convinced you that focusing on people is the right thing?
Yeah, so in my experience, you said one of them, like showing up with data. That is something which I just love because it is humanly impossible not to have your own formed opinions of what you think is happening around you. And as a leader, you do not have clear eyes if you just look at what's around you, because people will tell you what you want to hear. People will give you information that you ask for. They won't give you the things that you haven't asked for. They won't tell you things that you don't like or that you don't want. But a lot of times, those are the things that you need to hear. And so data can be the equalizer that it's like, hey, I'm not telling you your stuff is bad or broken, but just look at the data, you know? And I mean, there's good stuff in there too, and things that you might not understand are going well. You're like, hey, do you understand this really great thing is happening in your France office because you're not in France every day? And so data, table stakes. The second thing I would say is a strategy. So showing up with what I love around our conversations, I mean, from day one, we were able to talk, and there might be some violation or some process to deal with or some, nuance or, there might be a tactical thing that's happening that we talk about, but you always set up, and you do this very well. You're like, okay, understand this is happening, but let's get back to the strategy and make sure that we understand the macro here of what's happening, and let's make sure that what we're doing now plans into our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year strategy for our people strategy that we want to do. So the data strategy plus, I think the third is a point of view. Your experience, like I said, hire, 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 fire, fire, fire. It was nuts. It was bananas. And then send everybody home, bring them to the office. We love diversity. We don't care about it. What's going on? And so you, as the constant voice and the point of view of just saying look, I got you, trust me. And that trust in a CPO, CEO relationship is so important. And I'm so thankful that we have that trust between us.
Thank you. I'm more and more optimistic as I've seen these stronger relationships among CPOs and other executives on the people team more broadly. On the executive team more broadly. I'm also hearing from folks who are newer to the role, sub 10 years of experience, that they're realizing in this new environment, recognizing that the last 12 years has been up and to the right. And hey, there were definitely parts of that I appreciated much more than the first half of my career that was not up and to the right. But it creates a challenge and it creates a skills gap among people leaders. And part of me, I have a little bit of news I've shared to date, but just among here is that in working with Sarah, I have decided to move out of the CPO role, but stay at Lattice because I feel a strong mission around helping to inform and share knowledge among the broader HR community. And this is something that I have had the privilege of having mentors that have worked with me and being a nerd. So also enjoying reading and being acquainted with the academic side of the work we do on the people team. But one thing that I will be doing in my next stage in working with Lattice is finding ways to really elevate the skill set that we have among people leaders today to create a really solid foundation for the next generation of people leaders. And I'm very excited to have Lattice supported in that. And I did ask the team, and shout out to the Lattice team. They totally hooked me up on this, and Sarah as well. We have a lattice.com/human, and you can give us your email if you choose. We promise not to spam, but part of that will be the beginning of really strong information sharing around the components that we need to learn and grow into this new paradigm, which is what I believe is a balance between the people and performance side of business. It has felt like whiplash, right? Because we were in this people first, retain, 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 spend, 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 and spend, spend, spend in the last 18 months has been a dynamic pullback from that. And I've been in the boardroom and I've talked to my VC friends. I love you, but you were telling me 2 years ago to do whatever we can to keep people. And then you were telling me 12 months ago that all they care about is bottom line work. So there you go. All this being said, how do you see the future with this balance between performance and people? How do you see that in partnership with your next CPO that's out there? And what can we do as people leaders to be ready for delivering against what the next looks like?
It's an incredible question because you are being asked to not just understand your craft and your trade, but to know the business. And it has been so, I've also, and actually before, I am so proud of your next step. I can't wait for the next step. It's just gonna be incredible, but, I'm sad, but happy at the same time. But I have been in this relationship with you as CEO and CPO where you know our business, but you also have to know a bunch of financial pieces for doing stock plan, pool allocations, all of the merit planning, all of the understanding of, where is the revenue going to be, and like where is the people workforce going to be, how much do we need to plan for, what's the location strategy. There's a lot of financial acumen that you have to understand there. There's a lot of board presentations that you have to do. I am a first-time CEO, so it was interesting for me to learn that a lot of the work is in the G&A space and in talking about the compensation. I mean, there's a whole comp committee that you have to deal with. And so there's a lot of additional skills that you need to learn beyond just your craft of understanding how to do the people planning pieces. And so what is the future? I think that the people leaders, as we mentioned, are becoming much more strategic. The skills that you need to learn are much more business-minded as well, not just the behavioral science of it, but the financial science of how the business works. And those skills are things which I don't know if they're really being taught, right? And this is something we've talked about, and with your next step, I'm very excited. I'm like, should we have Dean Cara over here? Because how you can train people in not just the people conversations, but showing up with a strategy that has the financial mindedness to it, understanding all of the technology with AI. I come from the CRM world where, yes, there's AI being applied there, but in the people world, in the HCM world, I think that's where AI is going to be much more used and applicable. And so you have to understand technology as well. So you add the table stakes of all of the people stuff, plus the financial business stuff, plus the international, global, political stuff to understand, because you have to do that with the people stuff. And then you have all of the technology stuff. And that's a bit overwhelming, I think. And there's no college that says, okay, here, let's go get a people degree and a finance degree and an international business degree and a technology degree. Let's get that all together in one, and you're going to be set. You'll be in school for 20 years, right? And so that's what we want to do, is we want to help that. And so with Lattice, we care about talent, we care about skilling, we care about people leaders. And so we're just starting, but that's where I think we need to do is get the concentrations of those, so you can be, super dangerous, but not, you're not going to be the CFO.
No,
I mean, maybe if you want to.
No, hard no. I love my CFOs, but that is not my world. I will say I have written about this a bit in Forbes, and for me, it's really about the partnership with the president. LB is our president; she's amazing. The partnership with the CMO, the partnership with the CFO. We're doing a panel this afternoon. I'd invite you all to join, about the people leader as a growth driver of the business. And for me, it's having that mindset that we can deliver against all the components of the business, because we are responsible for more than 70% of the spend of the business, which is the human capital. And this is where the virtuous cycle of people go to work. People spend most of their time across the world at their jobs. And this is when I get excited, because that's what we do. We help optimize those jobs. We help those people have really good experiences. We help people build their careers over time and enjoy their roles if we're doing the right thing from a talent density and a job formation perspective. I agree that a lot of it's hard, and we have seen a lot of burnout among people leaders in the past few years. I think part of the solution are bringing better tools to the table. I think part of the solution is CEOs who value the role and understand what it can do for the business. I'm excited to see investors and boards of directors understanding that they need people leaders on in those worlds. What are you thinking about you can do as a CEO of a company? I'm putting you on the spot here. You said I could. You have a huge voice, right? You're successful. a tech executive in your own right. Now you're CEO of a company. If you were to send a message to other leaders that are sitting in seat and not understanding how to truly leverage their people leaders in their role, how would you think about that conversation? And maybe, if I can ask for a commit here, the conversation that you're willing to have externally when you get the phone calls from your friends who are other CEOs of tech companies. What would you say?
What would I say? I'd say, call Cara.
Say, what does good HR look like in a company? And I have all these VCs and board members telling me, like, get a good HR leader, you know? But I think there's still a question mark about what that means for in business.
Yeah, so it's interesting when you bring up like 70% of your investment as a company is in people. When you look at also maybe a different way of just as a human, what is it? We spend like a third of our life sleeping.
Yes.
Although last night I did not spend a third of my life sleeping. And it's not because I was at the casino, it's because my flight was delayed and then I had to be up early. But if we spend a third of our life sleeping, hopefully a third of our life, you know, doing family and whatever, you know, extracurricular, and a third of your life at work. And that shouldn't be the like downer time of your life, right? I want people to come to work because they're passionate about the cause, the mission, they're proud of the work that they're doing. And we went through this weird period where it's like a happy employee had great snacks and good benefits. And like that was the definition of happy. That's how you retained. You're like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff, right? But turns out stuff is not sustainable and it doesn't lead to happiness. It's like, you know, if any of you that are parents of, you know, children, fur babies, anything, you know that you can't just feed them Doritos and Ho-Hos and snacks all the time, right? They're not going to be healthy and they're not going to be happy if you just feed them a bunch of junk food all the time. And so as a CEO, what I would say is you need to talk to your CPO so that you're building a healthy workplace that fosters happy people. Because when people thrive, that's when your business is going to thrive. When your engineer is proud of the work that they're building, they're going to put in that extra effort to make sure that it's like quality controlled and add in a few extra features that are just awesome. When your marketer feels like they're appreciated, they're going to be like, oh, I just love what we're doing, and I'm going to really put the extra effort into this campaign. And you could say that across any role. Because as a CEO, when you care, when you show up, when you participate in we use Slack, so whether it's the Slack channels or whatever tool you use, when you show up, you go to the office, you ask questions, you give feedback, and it's not that if you say something constructive, it's bad, it's useful. And that's the trust that we all have to build within. And so I think that what we need to do is just build a healthy workplace. And understand that happiness is when people are performant, is when people are productive, and it is when people are engaged. And when their careers are managed, and they know there's a place to go to, they know there's a destination. And that's what, as a CEO, you need to do with your CPO is say, how do we do that?
That's awesome. We have 1 minute left.
We're good on time.
We are great on time. I'd like to flip this a little bit and have you give one piece of advice to a CPO sitting in the room here or a future CPO that wants to sit in the CEO seat? I have a thesis that that's going to be the next 5 years for all the reasons we've talked about today. So in summary, becoming this more global and this global executive, somebody who can go deep but can also see across the org, somebody who knows how to strategically drive 70% of the spend of an org. These are all the lessons that we can learn together if we do it well. So I see the future for all the folks here potentially being the CEOs of the future, and I get excited about that a lot. Do you have a piece of advice?
To CEOs in training, I would say know your business, have a strategy, don't be afraid. Imposter syndrome is something that we all feel, and do not let that get into your head. Your worst enemy could be, between your two ears, but it can also be your greatest asset to channel your thoughts and speak up and be the strategic, incredible leader you are, that knows the business, knows the people, knows the culture, knows the finances, understands the technology, and can wrap it all up in a magical bow and drive your companies to success.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.